Hello and welcome back to Matthew's Tottenham Blog and to another Tottenham transfer roundup. And we've got quite a bit to get through today. We have a lot of confusing updates on the future of Christian Eriksen with different news coming out from different sources. We're going to take a deep dive into that news and see if we can figure out what's true and what's not. We're also going to look at updates on Jed Spence. As you can see below me, Daniel Levy is believed to be leading the negotiations for that deal. Updates in Tottenham's pursuit of a striker. Plenty of stories on Raphinha and Richarlison. We'll also look at our pursuit of a centre-back and some potential departures later in this window. Before I do dive into it, if you are new to the channel, as always, please do make sure to hit that subscribe button down below to get to keep up to date with the rest of Tottenham's transfer business, and do hit that subscribe button as well to get notified every time we upload or go live. And look, let's just dive straight into it and see if we can figure out what on earth is happening with this man, with Christian Eriksen. Well, we streamed on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, so a little over 48 hours ago. And the news at that time from Fabrizio Romano was that Tottenham had made an offer for Christian Eriksen. It's been mainly negative ever since then. Alistair Gold said yesterday that those within Tottenham are now suddenly distancing themselves from any talk of discussions involving Eriksen. Spurs were last in contact with Christian Eriksen's camp 2 weeks ago and have not followed up since. Now there was a press briefing from Tottenham yesterday where they put this news out that Eriksen wasn't a serious option, or that we hadn't made an offer, that we haven't talked, blah blah blah. Because the majority of reliable news sources came out yesterday and said this. And Alistair Gold in the past has been accused of being a mouthpiece for the football club. I don't know if I'd go that far, but he's going to report what he's told by the club and what he knows to be true from his sources within the club. And Tottenham distancing themselves from this either means that we're trying to get it done a little bit more under the radar because we know of the competition that is facing us. Gold has said that Man United, Brentford, Everton, Newcastle, Leicester, West Ham, Ajax and a La Liga side have made contact with Eriksen. With so many options on the table, it is no longer thought he is 100% determined to remain in London. And I think that was one of the biggest negotiating pieces that we had, the biggest bit of hope that we as fans had with the potential move for Eriksen, that he wanted to remain in London. If that's no longer the case, maybe Tottenham either are trying to get this done under the radar, or the worst one, that maybe Eriksen has turned us down. Maybe we've been made aware that he's keen to join another team, and we're trying to deflect from the fact that it's a failed transfer from Tottenham by saying that, well, we didn't really want him in the first place. Let's be honest, it's a very childish way of doing it, but it's probably needed for the PR side of things. We'll run through the rest of the reports before we go any further. Alistair Gold just mentioned as well that after Eriksen's initial struggle at Inter Milan, Tottenham looked at a potential loan deal for the Dane to bring him back to Spurs. So this would have been a couple of years ago, before Eriksen went on to win the Scudetto with Inter Milan. Now, Fabrizio Romano has said that Christian Eriksen will make a decision on his future club soon. Manchester United have confirmed their interest to his agent, and Brentford are still in the race. We have some quotes from Thomas Frank about where Brentford are in this one. Romano said that Tottenham are now focused on a right-back, centre-back and then a striker after completing our first three signings. And the next line, he says that Tottenham have not made an official offer for Christian Eriksen. He's not a priority for the club right now. He said again on his podcast that he's not serious for Tottenham. But it's confusing me that Romano has said that we haven't made an official offer, because the other day, as we said from Fabrizio Romano, he said that Christian Eriksen has 3 offers on the table from Brentford, Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur. Now look, that leads me more down the line of maybe Tottenham briefed the press and briefed the journalists that they have links to. We know Fabrizio Romano is one of them, very close ties to Fabio Paratici. So it's interesting that he's coming out and kind of contradicting himself, but it also probably shows that no one really knows what's going to happen with Eriksen. I think we'd all expected him to make his mind up by now. We'd hoped that he would have made his mind up by now, but it doesn't seem to be the case. And Tottenham, again, like I said, it could be a case where we know we're not going to get him, or we've lost confidence in a deal, or Eriksen has made it clear, he might have made it very definite that he's not going to join Tottenham, and Tottenham are trying to just distance themselves from it to prevent it looking like we failed to make a signing that the fans really, really wanted. The Evening Standard have said that Tottenham are yet to hold any formal talks over a move for Christian Eriksen. Now, a potential stay at Brentford, Thomas Frank has said, we hope he'll decide in 2 weeks. He'll call me and tell me what he wants to do. So Eriksen maybe even himself doesn't know what's going to happen. He doesn't know what way he's going to go with his future. And if Tottenham want to get deals done early, maybe it genuinely could be a simple case that Tottenham just want to go elsewhere to get a deal over the line earlier, as soon as we possibly can, but before we head off on our pre-season tour to Korea. It's just so confusing, and it's impossible to figure out and decipher where this is going to go. It's impossible to decipher what is actually happening behind the scenes. With regards to Manchester United, it remains the very same. Simon Stone has said that Manchester United are hoping to be able to persuade Eriksen to join them before the Premier League season begins, whereas Jamie Jackson from The Guardian has said that Christian Eriksen wants to either remain at Tottenham or remain at Brentford or return to Tottenham after rejecting a move to Manchester United. A few other smaller reports. Rob Dawson from ESPN says Tottenham remain Christian Eriksen's most likely destination. And Tom Barkley from The Sun says that Tottenham are set to swerve Christian Eriksen as a signing, with Conte happy with his midfield option. So look, everywhere you look, there are reports contradicting each other. There are journalists contradicting themselves. It is a muddle of misinformation and confusion at this point in time. And like I said, we really, really can't figure out what's going on here. And I don't want to dwell on it for too long in the stream, because there's no point in talking about what we don't know, I suppose. But the simple fact of the matter is the Eriksen move is in doubt, and the situation is completely up in the air. Tottenham Gold, Dermot, thanks a million for your kind words. Says, big up Matty Hayes, the best transfer channel on YouTube. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's just very confusing. It's really confusing. I think I speak for a lot of us. I've done polls on here, I've done polls on Twitter, I've spoken to so many Spurs fans. The general feeling is that we do want him back, but at the moment that just doesn't look like it's a very likely thing to happen. But hopefully that does change in the near future. On Jed Spence, and I've spoken about how this deal is going very slowly, and to me it reminds me of the Takehiro Tomiyasu situation last summer. And I kind of mooted the idea that maybe Jed Spence is a smokescreen, or one of those typical players that Paratici is negotiating for, but he has something going on behind the scenes. A lot of Tottenham fans are kind of very ridiculously optimistic that could be Achraf Hakimi, that we're going to sign him out of nowhere. I certainly don't think that's the case. But on Jed Spence, Lyle Thomas of Sky Sports has said that Tottenham are set for further talks over signing Jed Spence. Daniel Levy is personally driving this deal as Fabio Paratici concentrates on other targets, and there, for me, straight up, is the reason why this deal is going so slowly, and the reason that we're not really getting much developments on the Jed Spence situation is because Daniel Levy is in charge of this one. And yeah, that really tells us all we need to know. Lyle Thomas goes on to say that initial talks did not find an agreement, but Spence wants the Spurs move. He is determined to join Tottenham. So the player wants the move. Tottenham, from what we're hearing, he's our number one choice at right back. He's the main man that we want. Conte wants him. So you'd have to imagine a deal would get over the line eventually, but it will be a little bit slower than what we're used to this summer because of Daniel Levy, and as Scutley says, the lowballing. Of course, he's lowballing, and he's going to have some bizarre deal structure. It's like, we'll pay 20 million, but a fiver of that is up front, and then we'll give you a tenner if he scores, I don't know, with his left foot from 33 yards out, curling it to the right into the top left corner, and just adding all of that into the deal. Typical Daniel Levy. Fabrizio Romano has reiterated that Spence is a big target for Tottenham. However, Middlesbrough are still waiting for a bid. He goes on to say as well that Tottenham are now focused on signing a right back, centre back, and then a striker after already sealing deals for Ivan Perisic, Fraser Forster, and Yves Bissouma. And on the point of a striker, maybe more accurate to say forward, Raphinha is a man that continues to be linked to Tottenham and continues to be mentioned quite a lot in the press. And we have an update from Fabrizio Romano himself, who has said that Leeds want 65 to 75 million pounds for Raphinha. He says that Barcelona have agreed personal terms with the player, but there's no agreement with Leeds. Arsenal are in negotiation with Leeds. I think Sky Sports said in the last 20 or so minutes that they're expected to make a formal approach. Arsenal have been in negotiations since March, according to Romano. He says that Tottenham and Chelsea are in contact too. On the Here We Go podcast yesterday, he said the three clubs of London, Tottenham, Chelsea, and especially Arsenal, are moving for Raphinha. So this is one that Tottenham seem to be keen to get on the road. With the Richarlison links that we're getting, it's just going to be one of those where Paratici is negotiating for so many different players. He's whether it's a smokescreen or genuinely trying to find the best deal, I think we're going to hear a lot on Raphinha and Richarlison. I think it's all going to be true, even though if we end up signing one, it'll be easy to look back at the links to the other and say, well, they obviously weren't true, but I think they will be, to be honest. Gary Jacob has said that Tottenham, again, have already made contact with Leeds for Raphinha. The player is keen to play Champions League football. Arsenal, lol. Leeds are expecting an approach from Arsenal. However, the winger is believed to favour a move to Barcelona, and that, I think that is the situation we're in, that this could be a very delayed move as well, because Raphinha wants that move to Barcelona. As Romano said, he's agreed those personal terms. I think that there's always been a Brazilian contingent at Barcelona. You've so many fantastic Brazilian players have put on the jersey of the Catalan club, and there's no surprise that Raphinha wants to be one of those players. But with the financial situation that Barcelona are in, he may have to wait a long time to try and figure out if that move is feasible this summer. We could end up in a scenario where Barcelona can't make the deal this summer, but might be able to do it next summer, at which point Raphinha probably stays at Leeds to try and force that move through next summer. So we're stuck kind of between a rock and a hard place with this one, and it's hard to see anything materialising for Tottenham, especially with Barcelona. It seems every month they're either in financial trouble or they're out of it, and the next month they're right back at the worst of it, and the next month they've 200 million to spend on players, and it's really difficult to gauge. Hopefully they just can't do it, and they let Raphinha know that. Maybe then he will explore the opportunity of coming to Tottenham. But at the moment, I think we're probably fighting a losing battle if we're going to actively pursue this one. Standard Sport have also said that Tottenham have now made contact with Leeds over a potential deal for Raphinha. Arsenal are also expected to make an approach, but Spurs hope the lure of Champions League will give them the advantage. I think it probably is the case, to be honest. David Anderson of the Daily Mirror has also said that Raphinha will not rush to join either Arsenal or Tottenham because he is still holding out for a move to Barcelona, who are currently unable to afford Leeds' £60 million evaluation, again, as we kind of expected. We're spending a lot of our summer talking about clubs who financially aren't able to get deals done, and somehow it keeps ending up going against Tottenham. We'll speak about Bastoni in a second. Another option that Tottenham do have in that front line is, of course, Richarlison. Sami Mokbel, very reliable Tottenham source, has said that Arsenal, Tottenham and Chelsea are in a battle for Richarlison. So we've three of these clubs going in for two Brazilian wingers in the Premier League. At least one of us is going to be let down. If Barcelona get their way, it will be probably two of us who are let down. But Richarlison, as we know, was one that has been rumbling for quite a while now. There was reports last week or the week before about an imminent bid from Tottenham, according to Bruno Andrade, that seems to have been very premature. But the links are still there, and I think they will continue. Fabrizio Romano has said that Tottenham are interested in Richarlison, but are focusing on a right back and a centre back. So as he said in the podcast, it's a right back and a centre back, and then a striker. So this isn't top of our priority list. We're working our way down to a striker. Greg O'Keefe, who is the Everton correspondent for The Athletic UK, deemed a Tier 1 source, have said that Tottenham have shown the most willingness so far with Richarlison, however have not lodged an official bid yet. Again, probably just confirming that he is further down that list of priority. Miguel Delaney says that any interest from Tottenham and Arsenal in Richarlison is this summer is currently expected to be trumped by Chelsea. So he thinks if Richarlison is to leave Everton, that he will be on his way to Stamford Bridge. Pete Hall, a source that I can't say I know too much about, has also said that Richarlison wants to leave Everton. Tottenham are among the interested clubs. So yeah, I think we're probably going to be talking about Richarlison and Raphinha for another week or two at least before anything concrete materialises, and I'm sure we'll have other names in that mix as well. We know Lautaro Martinez is being linked to Tottenham again. However, I think the CEO or president of Inter Milan said today or yesterday that Martinez's goals are crucial to them, and he's a very important part of the team. I think we can probably forget about that one, especially for the £77 million price tag that's been put on him. But the simple fact is we're going to sign a forward this window. We're hoping it's going to be a more versatile player that can interchange with all of those players we have in our front three, but it could end up being a Raphinha who's more just suited to the right wing. It's impossible to tell. It really is. On the pursuit of a centre back, which does seem to be the top priority for Tottenham, Fabrizio Romano has said that Inter Milan will meet with Torino to sign Gleison Bremer after verbal agreement on personal terms since January. So Bremer seems very keen on that move to Inter Milan, and it looks like he might get his way. But again, as we mention every stream, as we keep having to come back to, Inter need to sell to get this deal done. They've already signed Christian Aslani. They're very close to signing Raul Bayanova. They need to sell. They need to make a profit. We'll mention in a second. Actually, I haven't taken it down. So the Inter president or CEO again. I don't think it was Beppe Marotta. So it was probably the president said that they're probably going to have to sacrifice a defender. They said a centre back is easier to replace than a forward, so they're probably going to have to sacrifice someone in that position, which means they're looking to keep Lautaro Martinez. But between Milan Skriniar and Alessandro Bastoni, he thinks they're going to have to sacrifice one of them. The other centre-backs they have there aren't going to attract the type of fee that they need to get them out of the financial mire that they're currently in. Your Stefan de Vrij, who's rejected a new contract offer, could only really get £9 or £10 million for them. And look, Simon says Skriniar to PSG will be the one. Korean Bomber says it as well. It is... Skriniar is being very heavily linked with PSG. They've made bids, but they're not meeting Inter Milan's valuation at this point in time. So what we need to hope for is that Tottenham go in under the radar and just give them an offer they cannot refuse for Alessandro Bastoni. Get that deal done before PSG can finalise something for Milan Skriniar. Before we get on to Bastoni a bit more, Sport Media said on Gleison Bremer, say the pressure from Tottenham has risen in recent days in the race for Gleison Bremer. Inter Milan have agreed personal terms with the defender, but not a fee with Torino, who want £30 million. AC Milan are also interested, but Spurs have stepped up their pursuit. Now, on Alessandro Bastoni, his agent, Tullio Tinti, has spoken again via Fabrizio Romano. He said Bastoni will stay at Inter next season, as we are used to respecting contracts. Look, again, in a typical transfer situation, in a typical club situation, you'd say, well, that's that done. With Inter Milan, you just can't really say that. Now, the door is shutting, and it's shutting very, very quickly. But it's not going to shut completely until there's another big sale from Inter Milan. And that is the hope that I'm holding on to. And I think that's the hope that we all really have to hold on to. But the reality of the situation is we're probably not going to sign Alessandro Bastoni. Fabrizio Romano said that Bastoni was a top target for Tottenham, but Inter Milan have no intention of selling him or Bastoni and Skriniar, only one of them. So again, reiterating that Inter Milan do have the intention of selling one of those players. We just have to hope that PSG don't match that valuation for Skriniar. And I think if at any point we see that deal is over, if PSG have pulled out of negotiations, if Skriniar has pulled out, whatever, I think at that point we can begin to dream. But until we get there, it's just not likely. And it breaks my heart to say that, because everyone who watches this channel regularly will know that, you know, Bastoni is my dream signing for this summer. But we probably have to hold off a little bit as well. Sky Sports have said that Tottenham are still pushing to sign Alessandro Bastoni. Jason says, Bastoni, move on for God's sake. Look, I'm just bringing the reports that are in the press in the last couple of days. That's what this show is about. If you don't like it, don't watch it, but it's in the press. I'm going to talk about it. Before we move on to the departures, Simon, thank you, I appreciate it. Before we move on to departures, Paul O'Keefe was speaking, I believe, on the Spurs Talks space on Twitter last night, which, by the way, I recommend to everybody. He said that Spurs are now a financial juggernaut. Their projected revenues will overtake every other club in the Premier League. And look, Paul O'Keefe is the best source for Spurs. He, hands down, no debate, 100%. What he says is true. He's the best source for Spurs. And still, I'm kind of struggling to fully register and kind of process the fact that Tottenham are now a financial juggernaut. And it's not the biggest surprise. I mean, it's been coming. There's been a lot of investment in the club by Enoch and by Daniel Levy, and of course the only reason they do that is if there was a massive return on the other side. And like looking at financial reports during COVID and stuff, Tottenham came out the best from that. We weren't really hurt as much as other clubs were. So look, maybe there is a huge bid coming for Bastoni. Maybe there's a huge bid coming for Hakimi. By the way, I said on Twitter yesterday, to mention it as well, that I'd be very surprised if Tottenham hadn't explored the possibility of signing Alessandro Bastoni or signing Achraf Hakimi, of making a move for him, because I was going to get the tweet exactly because it was kind of misconstrued a little bit. But I said I'd be absolutely stunned if Tottenham haven't explored the possibility of a move for Hakimi. He's in a priority position with money to throw around. He has a good relationship with Conte and reportedly wants to leave PSG. It would be foolish not to test the waters, in my opinion. I said, do I think it'll happen? No. Do I think we stand a chance? Probably not. But Conte wants ambition, so ambition he shall get. Mad to think Hakimi is still only 23. So I would assume it's been mentioned. It's been thought about behind the scenes. Maybe we have tested the waters with contact with Inter Milan or Hakimi's agents, but it's probably not going to happen. I also want to bring a tweet that I saw on Twitter earlier today. I think the quick business of Fabio Paratici is making us impatient, and I'm absolutely a culprit for this. 3 signings already. We haven't made a signing in 4 days, and we're starting to think, what's happening? Why aren't we getting players? I saw a tweet from @JNTHFC who said, it is important for Spurs fans to remember that since Paratici came in so far, we've signed 10 players, and of those 10 deals, only the one for Christian Romero was in the media for a week plus prior to completion. Deals will come out of nowhere. I get the worry, but relax for now. And look, to put absolute figures on that, I think is really important, because I think a lot of us Spurs fans had known that we not every deal was rumbling on for weeks and weeks and weeks like Tottenham typically do, that Paratici does get these deals done quickly. But the fact that it's there, 9 of the 10 deals were in the media for less than a week by the time we completed it, I think tells us exactly what we need to know about this current transfer window, and how things can come out of nowhere. And that's the biggest optimism we can have. But look, moving on to departures, before we do that, if you haven't already, please do make sure to hit that like button down below. Like I always say, it's a massive help to every streamer when you hit that like button, because it lets YouTube know you're enjoying the content and it pushes it out to more and more people. So with over 600 watching, let's try to get to 250 likes. Subscribe as well while you're down there. We're on the road to 15k. We are at the moment 34 away. So please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, to see if we can get to 15k by the end of today. Onto departures, and a very important development in a potential move for Steven Bergwijn, who at the moment looks more likely than he's ever been to leave Tottenham this summer window. And look, it seemed for a while as though Ajax just weren't willing to match that valuation that Tottenham have put on Steven Bergwijn. However, they are close to completing the sale of Sebastian Haller to Borussia Dortmund. Fabrizio Romano said that Dortmund expect to complete this deal for Haller before the end of this week. I think it's about £33 million. Mike Verwij of The Telegraph in the Netherlands has said the jackpot sale of Sebastian Haller will remove all doubts regarding Steven Bergwijn to Ajax. A part of the transfer fee can now be used to finally bring in the much desired signing. So Ajax, I think, offering 20 million, Tottenham want 25. They've no excuse to not match that now that Haller is on the way out. And to be honest, it's not their first big signing. They've sold Ryan Gravenberch to Bayern Munich already this window. But that's another big fee coming in for them. So you'd expect that Steven Bergwijn will be on his way back to the Eredivisie very, very soon. Brian Cole, thank you very much for subscribing. Hasper as well. I appreciate the support. Thank you for subscribing. Verwij also said that Steven Bergwijn does not want to wait too long for his Tottenham exit this summer. He continues to push for a move to Ajax and has agreed a tentative outline for a 5-year contract at the club. So that one looks like it'll be done. And Fabrizio Romano said on the Here We Go podcast yesterday that Tottenham or Ajax are still in negotiations for Bergwijn. Bobby in the chat, great to see you, Bob, says, big up, I keep on hearing, oh, he's too expensive, etc. Last I checked, we're fans, not accountants. If we end up paying 70 million for Hakimi, it's because we can, as long as Spurs are progressing. But look, absolutely. That is absolutely the most important thing. Where I'm coming from with things like that, I know I said I wouldn't take Richarlison for 60, 65 million. I just feel, of course, we're not the ones paying the money. We're not accountants. We're not financial experts. But I think that money could be better spent on, add another 10 million to it and get Martinez or something like that. But I absolutely understand where you're coming from. On Brian Hill, could be loaned out again. Nabil Djellit will be the source on this one. Will be the one to watch with these news stories. He came out first to say that Marseille have inquired about taking Tottenham winger Brian Hill on loan next season. That was confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. Personally, I don't really see the point in loaning him out to France. He was loaned back to Spain last season, had a decent start, kind of petered out to nothing much. But the reason he's not doing well in the Premier League is he's struggling to get used to the physicality. And well, you're not really going to improve that if you're sending him back to the league where where his development has prevented him from being that player just yet. I don't think going back to France going to France is much of a benefit. But look, at least he's getting game time, I suppose. Emerson Royal, his dad, Emerson Zulu, his father and agent via Mundo Deportivo, has said that he's been in, or he talking about himself, the agent said, I've been in contact in casual talks with Atletico de Madrid, but I'm not just Emerson Royal's agent. I have other players, so I can't confirm this information released in the press. So he's saying he has been talking to Atletico Madrid, but refusing to confirm if that is for his son or not. AS, I said that Atletico Madrid may make a loan with option to buy offer to Spurs for Emerson Royal. However, this is said to be a, quote, very tough task, as Levy will likely demand a permanent sale. And at the Times say that Antonio Conte has given the green light for Emerson Royal to be sold, as he wants a right wing back who is more comfortable going forward. However, Tottenham want to recoup the £22 million they paid for the Brazilian if they sell. And look, to be honest, I'd almost expect an Atletico Madrid to pay that, because he's going to go back to La Liga. I think he'll do quite well there, especially playing in a back four, in a defensive back four with Atletico Madrid. I think that would suit him a lot more, but I also wouldn't really blame them if they don't want to spend that sort of money. Regards to Jack Clarke, who I think we're expecting to head out on loan again, Northern Echo said that Sunderland have held talks about potentially taking Jack Clarke back on loan. Spurs would prefer to wait until later in the window to make a decision. With the 21-year-old's contract running out in 2023, they may be tempted to cash in. I actually wasn't aware of that. His contract runs up at the end of the next season. Signed in 2019, a 4-year contract doesn't seem a very common thing for a player that young. But Sunderland, unsurprisingly, wanting him back after he helped them gain promotion back to the Championship. But we'll have to see where that one goes. Personally, I don't think Jack Clarke will be a Spurs player this season. John Stokes with the Super Chat says, evening, Maddie. Keep up the great work. I appreciate that, John. Thank you very much for your continued support on the channel. A few lesser or unknown reliability stories before we dive into a Q&A in the live chat. Tudo Mercato say that Inter Milan have asked Paulo Dybala for more time before signing off on an agreement. Tottenham are waiting for developments and have expressed their appreciation to the player. I don't think that's true. Paratici is the man who tried to sell him from Juventus. It seems to be an easy line at the moment. I think the press know how much us Tottenham fans fell in love with Paulo Dybala. On Clement Longley, Sport have said that Tottenham have sent a proposal to Barcelona centre-back Clement Longley. The defender is scheduled to meet his agent later this week to discuss all offers. Mundo Deportivo as well has said that Longley is set to meet his agent to discuss offers from Marseille and Tottenham. Bild have said that Tottenham are considering a move for Stuttgart striker Sasha Kalajdzic. The player's representatives were in England last week to host talks with an unnamed club. Jack Rosser has told us that Crystal Palace, Everton, Southampton and Sevilla are all monitoring Harry Winks' situation. Tottenham will listen to offers of £20 million, and L'Equipe say that Lyon striker Moussa Dembele is planning on staying put this summer, despite reports in May linking Spurs with a potential move for him. And in what was a very, very busy couple of days in the Tottenham transfer market, that is your roundup. Actually, in the last couple of minutes, Tom Colomossi from Mail Sport has said that Nottingham Forest boss Steve Cooper has made Tottenham's Joe Rodon one of his 2 key targets this summer, and personally I'm expecting Rodon to go to Forest. We'll see how that pans out. Get your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your opinions in the live chat, and we'll go through those. We'll see what you all have to say. And if you have any questions on players that we haven't mentioned here, or even players that we have mentioned, let me know in the chat and we'll go through them. Again, like I said, please do make sure to hit that like button. We have nearly 700 watching and only 193 likes. Let's get that to 250. I know you can get that number up quickly, so please do hit that like button. Again, while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button like Kalua did a few minutes ago. We're 27 away from 15k, so I'd appreciate the support on that one. As Richard says, Lukaku's back at Inter. He does look set to go back to Inter Milan, which again, not only do they need to make €60 million profit in the transfer market, they also need to reduce their wage bill. And you can be very, very sure that Romelu Lukaku is going to be on a lot of money. So again, that just further shows how much they need to sell. Chris Heyman, thank you very much for joining the Premier League membership club. I really appreciate that. All your support is really, really appreciated, so thank you very much. THFC Brown says, will we go big on a couple of players? If so, who? I think we will go big on a couple of players, and if I had to guess what position it would be, well, I suppose an educated guess, it would be left centre back and a forward. Wherever we bring in a forward, I think we need a very reliable backup option. Not backup option, rotation option in that position, and left centre back is our priority. As David asked there, what is the latest with Pau Torres? It's all gone very quiet there, and I don't think it's because something is imminent. Oh, look, it could be, but I think Tottenham are using that story to try and force something out of Inter Milan. It came out that we were in talks with Inter Milan, and within 5 or 6 hours, all of a sudden we were pushing for Pau Torres. I think we were trying to force Inter Milan's hand, and unfortunately that kind of went against us initially, but we're hoping it could be swinging back in our favour. But the latest on Pau Torres is that there's no change. I just don't think it was ever as advanced as was in the press. John with another super chat says, only 176 likes. Please support Matt by smashing that like button from 680 watching. Absolutely. Thank you very much, John, again for the super chat. It is appreciated. And as he says, hit that like button. Chris says, Spence for 20 million or Hakimi for 60 million. Who would you prefer? In a heartbeat, Ashraf Hakimi. There's no question on that for me. I think Spence is a good option, and if Conte wants him, he's a very good option. But if Hakimi is on the market, if Hakimi is even the slightest bit possible, that's it for me. As Niall says, Hakimi all day. He's one of the best out there. And like I said, he's still only 23, which is kind of bizarre to me. Rune, good to see you. Paul, welcome to the Championship Member Club. Another fantastic supporter of the channel. I do appreciate that. Eamon says, never seen the start. What's the story in Eriksen? The story is that no one really knows. We're getting reports that he wants Tottenham, then that he doesn't want Tottenham, then he's actually going to go to United, but apparently he's turned United down. That we made an offer to Eriksen, but we've actually never made an offer. It's all up in the air. I don't think anyone really knows at the moment. I just think Tottenham have briefed the press, which could be a sign that we're not optimistic of getting a deal done. And I do know up until this point we were optimistic. We were confident we could make it happen, but it just doesn't look like it will, but it's hard to say for sure. JJ says, Hakimi or Bastoni then? It would be Bastoni. Bastoni is my dream signing. I've been saying it since last summer, since before we were ever linked with him. I should be on the scouting team, to be honest. Bastoni, all day long, is my dream signing. Bobby says, Matt, is it more difficult to make a poor team good or a good team great? Conte did an incredible job last season. I'm surprised there's no talk of a contract extension. It's probably in this current footballing climate, it's more difficult to make a good team great, because the standard of great is the best teams out there, in my opinion, and that's Manchester City and Liverpool. I think Conte's already made a poor team good, but that next step is going to be so difficult. We need to get everything, and I mean absolutely everything, spot on if that's going to happen, and we need a bit of luck in our favour as well. At the moment, it's not looking like that's going to happen this window. I saw another question there. Where's it gone? Oh, the second bit of yours, sorry. You said, I'm surprised there's no talk of a contract extension. There's no talk of an extension because Conte's current contract expires at the end of next season. Tottenham have within that an option to extend by a further year. Now, I'm not sure if that does need somebody to sign off from Antonio Conte, like, for example, the Sergio Reguilon buyback that Real Madrid had. They could have bought him back within 2 years, but Reguilon would have that decision to make. But Conte, maybe he has to kind of agree to the extension. Maybe he doesn't. The simple fact is, at the moment, it's a 1-year contract, but in a roundabout way, it could kind of be deemed a 2-year contract because that option is there. But yeah, I don't think there's any talk of a contract extension either, because even if that wasn't the case, we still have a window to get through to make sure Conte is happy, and we still have a season to see if we can actually progress further from where we are. But I don't think there's any question of a potential departure. Tony says, will we go for Bremer? I think we are going for Bremer, to be honest. I don't think we've ever given up on that, or that we've ever decided he's not the player for us. It just looks more likely that he will end up at Inter Milan. But yeah, I'd say up until the last moment, we'll probably be trying to hijack that one, especially if we feel as though Bastoni won't happen. What else we got? The Bertie Asper says, big up Matty, Inter has just re-signed Lukaku. Will this help us? Yeah, like I said, that those wages for Lukaku, on top of the fact that Inter need to sell to make financial profit now, I think that will help us. It's not a done deal yet with Lukaku, but it should be in the coming days. So hopefully that will force Inter into a more abrupt sale, or maybe even two sales if they get their finances wrong. As Simon says, Bremer, his heart is set on Inter. We take one more question. Let's make it a good one. Oh, Bobby says breaking news: Chelsea agree terms with Inter. So that must be done now, which is even better news. I see John Luigi Lancari there has tweeted 8 million plus 4 million in add-ons, which is a comical deal for Chelsea. Probably the worst transfer of all time. There's the last question. King Haddle says straight number 9 or versatile forward player. A versatile player for me. I think Conte would agree, because if we get a straight number 9, that's a rotation option just for Harry Kane. Whereas I think we need someone who can play in all positions, and Richarlison fits that. I don't think Raphinha does. Lautaro doesn't. But I think we'll go for a versatile player who can start with Son and Kane. He can start with Son and Kulusevski, or Kane and Kulusevski, to have that versatility and those other options. But look, we will wrap it up there. We still have nearly 700 watching. We've had nearly 2,000 of you joining throughout the entire stream. We haven't quite hit our goal of 15,000 subscribers. But hopefully we'll be there before our next stream, which I assume will be tomorrow, unless we get breaking news tonight. So if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button down below for more of this transfer content throughout the window. Make sure to hit that like button as well. We have hit 250, so let's get that to 300 with the 685 or 676 that are still watching. I appreciate the new members, everyone who's super chatted, everyone who's commented, liked, watched, Tony Young, channel member, Marilyn, Zoe, all you wonderful people. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much for tuning in. But for me, for now, as always, thank you so much for watching.